Your parents told you to buy. The internet told you to rent and invest the difference. And you're sitting there, nodding at both, not sure which one is lying to you. Here's what nobody tells you. Both sides are using real numbers. Both sides are telling partial truths. And the side you choose, without running the full math, could quietly cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars over the next 30 years. We're going to run those numbers today. All of them. The ones the real estate agent skips, the ones the rent forever crowd conveniently forgets. By the end of this, you won't need anyone's opinion. You'll have the math. Let's make this real. Two people, same mid-sized American city, same gross income, $55,000 a year. Both have $60,000 saved. Both want a 3-bedroom place, decent neighborhood, reasonable commute. One buys, one rents. The buyer, let's call him Daniel, puts all $60,000 down on a $300,000 home, 20% down, 30-year fixed mortgage at 6.5%. His monthly principal and interest payment, $1,517. Add property taxes, roughly $250 a month, homeowner's insurance, $130 a month. That's already $1,897 before a single repair bill hits. The renter, let's call him Tyler, finds a comparable place for $1,400 a month. He keeps his $60,000 intact, drops it into a broad market index fund, averaging 8% annually. On paper, Tyler looks brilliant. $500 cheaper per month, money still invested in compounding, zero maintenance responsibility. But here's what Tyler hasn't priced in yet. Every dollar Daniel pays is quietly purchasing a fractional ownership stake in a $300,000 asset. Every dollar Tyler pays ceases to exist the moment it leaves his account. That distinction sounds philosophical right now. In 10 years, it will feel very, very financial. Here's the part of this conversation that almost never gets discussed honestly. By year 6, Daniel's home has appreciated at roughly 3.5% annually. That $300,000 home is now worth approximately $347,000. His remaining mortgage balance has dropped to around $269,000. That means Daniel is sitting on roughly $78,000 in equity. But here's the number that actually matters. Daniel didn't put $78,000 into that house. He put $60,000. The remaining appreciation came from owning a $300,000 asset with a $60,000 investment. That is leverage, and it is the single most powerful mechanism in residential real estate that the monthly payment debate almost always ignores. Tyler's index fund has also grown beautifully. His $60,000 at 8% annually has compounded to roughly $95,000 by year 6, a $35,000 gain. Solid. But Tyler only earns returns on what he actually invested. There is no multiplier, no leverage, no $300,000 asset working on his behalf. And Tyler's rent has quietly crossed $1,600 a month. He's approaching what Daniel pays in total housing costs. Except Daniel's payment is building equity, and Tyler's payment is building his landlord's equity. The scoreboard is tightening, and from year 6 forward, the trajectory only bends in one direction. There's also something happening inside Daniel's mortgage that most people never bother to understand. In the first year, Daniel pays roughly $18,200 in mortgage payments. Approximately $15,400 of that goes straight to the bank as interest. Only about $2,800 actually reduces what he owes. That interest disappears, just like rent, except nobody calls it that. But here's the shift. Every single month that passes, the interest portion shrinks and the equity building portion grows. Daniel is on an accelerating equity curve. Tyler is on an accelerating rent curve. Same starting point, completely opposite trajectories.
This is the number people anchor to. $1,400 a month. It feels manageable. It feels reasonable. It feels fine. What your brain doesn't naturally calculate is what that number becomes over time. Tyler's $1,400 rent, growing at just 3.5% annually, becomes approximately $1,870 by year 10, approximately $2,510 by year 20, approximately $3,370 by year 30. Daniel's mortgage payment in year 30 is still $1,517, the exact same number he paid on month 1. This is the quiet mechanism that almost nobody talks about when they argue for renting. Rent is a variable cost with one gear, forward. A fixed-rate mortgage is a locked cost that inflation slowly makes cheaper in real terms. In year 1, Daniel's payment feels heavy. By year 10, it feels normal. By year 20, it feels almost cheap. Tyler's rent does the exact opposite. Starts comfortable, gets heavier every single year, and there is no finish line. When you are 35, you pay rent. When you are 55, you pay rent. When you are 70, retired, living on a fixed income, you are still writing a check to a landlord. A check that is significantly larger than the one you wrote at 35. At the exact moment Daniel makes his final mortgage payment and his monthly housing cost drops to roughly $600 in taxes and insurance, Tyler is still paying over $3,300 a month with no finish line in sight. That is not a minor financial difference. That is a lifetime of financial pressure, packaged in increments small enough that you barely notice them compounding against you. If this were a one-sided argument, it wouldn't be worth your time. So here's the honest case for renting. If you are staying fewer than 5 years, buying is almost always a losing financial move. Closing costs hit you for roughly $7,500 to $15,000 before you get the keys.
Agent commissions eat 5 to 6% when you sell, and in the early years of a mortgage, almost nothing goes to equity. The break-even point for most purchases is somewhere between 5 and 7 years. Under that threshold, renting is the mathematically superior choice. Full stop. If you live in a city where home prices are severely disconnected from rental rates, Manhattan, San Francisco, parts of Los Angeles, the price-to-rent ratio can make buying genuinely irrational. When a home costs $1.2 million but rents for $3,500 a month, the numbers do not support purchasing. And homeownership is not without its own hidden costs. A new roof, $8,000 to $15,000. An HVAC system, $5,000 to $10,000. A foundation issue, potentially $12,000 or more. Budget 1 to 2% of your home's value annually just for maintenance and hope nothing catastrophic happens in year 1. Your equity is also illiquid. You cannot spend equity on groceries. You cannot use it in a medical emergency without taking on debt. The only clean exit is selling, which triggers agent fees, closing costs, and the risk that the market has softened at exactly the wrong moment. Real estate is not a liquid asset, and illiquid assets are dangerous when life doesn't follow the plan. Renting is not a failure, but renting as a permanent default, one you never question, one you never run the 30-year math on, that is expensive. Let's close this out with the actual numbers. Over 10 years, Tyler has paid approximately $193,000 in rent and renter's insurance. He owns nothing, but his $60,000 index fund, untouched at 8% annually, has grown to approximately $129,500. Daniel has spent approximately $285,000. Mortgage payments, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, closing costs, significantly more than Tyler, but his home is now worth approximately $423,000, and his remaining mortgage balance is around $253,000. That's $170,000 in equity. When you net it out, Tyler spent $193,000 and has $129,500 in investments. Daniel spent $285,000 and has $170,000 in equity. Daniel is $40,000 to $60,000 ahead, and the gap accelerates from here. By year 30,
Daniel makes his final payment, owns his home outright, a home potentially worth over $700,000, monthly housing cost, roughly $600. Tyler, at year 30, is still paying over $3,300 a month with no finish line in sight. Daniel didn't win because buying always wins. He won because he locked in a fixed cost in a world where everything else keeps getting more expensive. He won because leverage lets $60,000 earn returns on a $300,000 asset. He won because every payment moved him closer to a finish line. The real trap was never renting, and it was never buying. The real trap is making a $300,000 decision based on a monthly number without ever asking what it costs you over 10 years, 20 years, a lifetime. Next time your lease renewal arrives with a 4% increase that feels like nothing, run the 30-year math, because that 4% doesn't feel like nothing when you add it up over a lifetime. That's the only number that actually matters.